of people run a race to see who is fastest. I run to see who has the most guts, who can punish himself into exhausting pace, and then at the end punish himself even more. Those are the words of the incredible American distance runner, the late Steve Prefontaine. If you have ever worked diligently for anything, then you may be able to appreciate what Steve Prefontaine accomplished in his life. Steve Prefontaine had many great accomplishments because he was hardworking, dedicated, and challenged himself to a point that few others could even imagine. Today, I will inform you about Steve Prefontaine's many great accomplishments, as well as his childhood and tragic death. According to the book, Great Athletes, Olympic Sports, Steve was born January 25, 1951 in Coos Bay, Oregon. His given name was Steve Rowan Prefontaine. He also had the nickname Pre that was given to him because those are the first letters of his last name. Steve was a slow learner because of his difficulties in reading and writing. In middle school, he did well in a gym class running test and beat his classmates for the first time. That success of beating his classmates gave him the confidence that he had never felt before. That was the day Steve Prefontaine fell in love with running. According to the book, Steve won the Oregon State Cross Country Meet as a junior and senior. He was also a state track champion in the 2 mile as a junior and senior and the 1 mile as a senior. He also set the national high school 2 mile record of 8 minutes and 41 seconds. Steve went on to run at University of Oregon in Eugene. His coaches were Bill Bowerman and Bill Dellinger. In college, he won 3 NCAA cross-country championships and 4 NCAA 3 mile championships. He also set American records for the 5,000-meter run and the 6 mile run. In 1972, Steve qualified for the Olympics. At the Olympics, he competed in the 5,000-meter run, which is about 3 miles. Steve won the preliminary of his event, but in the finals, Steve forced the pace too much and was outkicked by 3 competitors in the final stretch. I can't breathe. Okay. This left him with a disappointing 4th place finish. It is said that Pre's only weakness as a runner was his poor finishing kick. After the Olympics, Steve began training to battle Europe's best runners. He then finished 2nd place at the World Games, setting another American 5,000-meter record. Steve kept gaining more and more popularity and was sought out by sponsors. The Amateur Athletic Union, or AAU, had rules that kept athletes from earning money from sponsors. The AAU also had rules about when and where athletes could compete internationally. These rules angered Steve, and he began to speak out against the AAU. Steve's fellow competitor, Frank Shorter, was an attorney. He was also against the AAU policies and agreed to work with Steve and change the rules. Sadly, Steve Prefontaine's last competitive race was in May of 1975. It was another 5,000-meter run. Steve won the race and proved he was ready to redeem himself in the upcoming 1976 Olympics. The day after his last race, Steve was driving home from a party to celebrate his recent win and crashed his sports car. I interviewed my father for this speech, and he claims to have seen the very hill upon which Steve Prefontaine's car accident occurred. Pre's death caused devastation to the U.S. running team. Pre went from an average child living in a small town to a world-class runner who held 7 national records and was the best American distance runner at the time of his death. Steve Prefontaine had many great accomplishments because he was hardworking, dedicated, and challenged himself to a point that few others could even imagine. In his short life, Pre accomplished more than most people do in a full life.